is much to be learned, and you have no time.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please.
Greetings, my friend.
That's disgusting.
You crop dusting motherfucker.
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnic Vogon Jeffs, and in this video we're discussing the 1982 high fantasy, nightmare-inducing film, The Dark Crystal. Directed by Jim Henson and Frank Oz, this perturbing presentation straddles the uncanny valley of proficient puppetry to deliver a penetrating portrayal of peculiar performative prestidigitation. Alliteration! Give it a try. It's fun. Oh, Christ.
No?
Set on the fictional planet of Thra, The Dark Crystal is the story of Jen and Kira and their quest to prevent a group of evil creatures from becoming all-powerful asshats. The film stars Jim Henson, Catherine Mullen, Frank Oz, and Dave Goelz, and features puppetry and animatronics that were not only impressive for their time, but to this very day some 40-odd years later. The Dark Crystal was a spiritual successor to Henson's poorly received Saturday Night Live Land of Gorch sketches.
Whoa, what do you mean by that?
And a spiritual predecessor to his 1986 fantasy musical, Labyrinth. Both films received mixed responses on release but managed to turn a profit, and in subsequent years have become cult hits with dedicated fan bases. Now, I'm not going to be touching on the 2019 Age of Resistance Netflix prequel for a very important reason. I haven't seen it. I've been burned too many times by great shows that get canceled before they're able to wrap up their story. It's unforgivable, and I no longer put up with it. That's like going to watch a movie and after the second act, it just cuts to black. No resolution. Hey, get f***ed, buddy. Who would want to take part in that unsatisfying cycle of disappointment?
Questions, too many questions.
And Netflix being Netflix, what did they do after the first season of Age of Resistance? What did they do after it received near universal acclaim? I'll give you a moment to take a wild guess. Yeah, they canceled it. Story incomplete. And maybe you'll sit there and argue that by not watching it when it comes out, I'm not supporting its further development. Well, tough shit.
Well,
You might be right, but I literally could not care less. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me dozens of times, your entire industry can die a slow death. Okay, rant over. It's creepy puppet movie time.
Of course, if you're not interested, there's the door.
All right. Another world, another time. In the Age of Wonder, 1,000 years ago, the land was green and good, until the crystal cracked. Two new races appeared. The cruel Skeksis, who have ruled for 1,000 years, and the peaceful mystics. In the castle of the crystal, the Skeksis' numbers dwindle. Only 10 remain, a dying race ruled by a dying emperor, using the power of the dark crystal to extend their lives. And in a secluded valley far from the castle, 10 mystics remain. In the Valley of the Mystics, there lives a gelfling, Jen. The Skeksis killed his family, destroyed his clan. Only Jen survived, to be raised by the wisest of the mystics.
for God's sake, get a move on!
Blah blah prophecy, blah blah world needs to be healed. Jen is the chosen one, and oh dear God, it's a naked puppet playing the flute. Ugh, that is very creepy.
Today, Jen's pipe gives no comfort.
I don't care if I'm being immature. It's funny. Give me a break. On his deathbed, Jen's master reveals that the young gelfling is in danger.
Gelfling, you must find the shard.
The Skeksis will try to kill him because it's his duty to recover the shard, the piece of the dark crystal that fell off when it was cracked. It's part of a prophecy, and if he doesn't find the crystal shard before the Great Conjunction, when the three suns are aligned, the Skeksis will rule forever. With his dying breath, Jen's master directs him to Aughra, who supposedly has the shard in her possession. He doesn't tell Jen what to do with it after he gets it, but that's a problem for later in the movie. After mourning the death of his master, Jen sets out to find Aughra and the shard. Meanwhile, in the Castle of the Crystal, the Skeksis Emperor dies and
He's not dead yet.
Oh, sorry, a little bit premature there. And okay, now he's dead. The Skeksis eagerly look to replace their former emperor. The general and the chamberlain both vie for the throne and agree to challenge each other in a trial by stone, which is more or less just a competition to see who can whack a stone the hardest. The general wins, and the chamberlain is stripped of his robes and banished from the castle.
Now, by the law, he must pay.
As he leaves, the Dark Crystal alerts the remaining Skeksis to Jen's existence, which terrifies them.
The prophecy says Gelfling will destroy us.
They thought they had killed all the Gelflings. They went out of their way to hunt them all down to prevent the prophecy from coming true. So the general sends his giant crab army to find and kill him. On his journey to find Aughra, Jen is captured by some mountain plants and meets Aughra. Wow, that's a convenient turn of events. Aughra takes Jen back to her orrery, and drops some wisdom on the young adventurer.
I was there. 3 suns lined up. That's when the crystal cracked. Anything could happen. The whole world might burn up.
She fills in some of the gaps left open by Jen's mystic master and drops a load of random crystals at his feet.
You want a shard? Here.
Which one is it?
Don't know.
Unfortunately, she has no idea which one is the Dark Crystal Shard, and Jen is forced to figure it out for himself. Inspired by the hymns of the mystics, he uses his flute to identify the correct crystal. But just as Aughra is about to explain what he needs to do with it, the crab army bursts into the orrery and tears the place apart, trying to capture Jen. The Gelfling manages to escape, but Aughra is captured and her orrery, and her orrery is destroyed in the process. Alerted by the shard's activation, the remaining mystics leave their valley and head off towards the Castle of the Crystal. Shortly thereafter, while traveling through a swamp, Jen is surprised by Fizzgig, the toothy dog-like pet of fellow Gelfling Kira.
But I thought I was the only one.
I thought I was.
Hey, turns out they were both wrong. And as Kira tries to help Jen out of a swamp puddle, the two Gelflings begin dream fasting, sharing memories with each other and dropping exposition like absolute bosses. Unable to help her fellow Gelfling, Kira uses her ability to communicate with creatures to get a swamp poop to lend a hand. Kira leads Jen out of the swamp and takes him back to her village, inhabited by a clan of podlings who adopted and raised her as one of their own. The village puts on a big dinner party and everyone is having a great time until those nasty crab dudes show up again. They terrorize the festivities and capture a bunch of podlings. Jen and Kira are nearly caught, but the Chamberlain, who has been following the crabby goons since his banishment, steps in to cover their escape. The following day, Jen and Kira stumble upon the ruins of a Gelfling city and the prophetic writings of the long-dead inhabitants.
What was sundered and undone shall be whole. The two made one.
They realize the shard is part of the Dark Crystal and must be returned to the castle. And then the Chamberlain shows up out of nowhere and pleads with the Gelflings, begging them to return to the castle in order to restore peace.
Prophecy caused all this trouble.
That's why Skeksis killed Gelfling?
Yes, but I am friend.
Jen almost falls for it. I mean, that's kind of where they need to go anyway. But Kira is all like,
Pshaw, this guy's full of shit.
Yes.
No!
And then they run off into the forest. Looking for a faster way to get to the castle, Kira calls out to some landstriders.
How did you learn to call them?
The podlings taught me.
The Gelflings make their way to the castle and intercept the crab warriors with their stash of podlings. Kira loses her cool and races in to save her family. The landstriders attack as Jen and Kira release the podlings from their cage. Unfortunately, the Landstriders are overwhelmed, and the Gelflings are forced to abandon the Podlings. Geez, I hope the prisoners made it to safety. We just kind of abandon them here and never speak of them again, so we'll just assume the best. Jen and Kira infiltrate the castle and are immediately greeted by the Chamberlain, who gets a little too handsy and puts the Gelflings on the defensive. Jen stabs the Chamberlain with the shard, and oddly enough, one of the mystics begins bleeding from his hand. Huh.
Wait a minute. You don't suppose...
Almost like the mystics and the Skeksis are connected. Interesting.
What a twist!
The Chamberlain gets right pissed and tries to kill Jen.
You die!
He then captures Kira and, in hopes of returning to his Skeksis clan, delivers her to the Emperor as a gift. The Chamberlain is welcomed back, and the evil beasts decide to drain Kira of her essence. She's taken to a strange laboratory where the scientist uses the dark crystal to suck out her vitality. Imprisoned in that very lab after the destruction of her orrery, oh my god. Aughra reminds Kira that she can talk to the other creatures.
Call the animals! You have the gift!
Which Kira does. Inciting a mutinous riot that ends with the death of the scientist. Oh, and another one of the mystics. The mystics arrive at the castle as the Great Conjunction draws near, and Jen is still alive, obviously. Everyone makes their way to the Chamber of the Dark Crystal as the Skeksis prepare for their conjunction function.
Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
Their ceremony is disturbed when Fizzgig is reunited with Kira, revealing their hidden position. The Skeksis command their crab army to kill the Gelflings, and in a panic, Jen leaps onto the Dark Crystal, but drops the shard. So Kira is forced to fly in and retrieve it.
Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
As she throws the shard back to Jen, she is fatally stabbed by the High Priest. Jen heals the crystal by inserting the shard. The castle begins shedding its dark and evil veneer as the mystics surround the crystal. Light from the Great Conjunction shines through and unites each of the mystics with their Skeksis counterparts.
And now the prophecy is fulfilled. We are again one.
The mystics and Skeksis are returned to their original form, and the true power of the crystal is renewed.
Yay!
In an act of gratitude, the angelic beings revive Kira and ascend through the crystal castle as the world begins to heal. The end.
Am I crazy or was that good?
You're crazy.
The Dark Crystal is by no means a perfect movie. There are moments when the story drags, the protagonists are creepier than the antagonists, and the dialogue is often laughably awkward.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
This last point can be explained by some behind-the-scenes shenanigans. The Skeksis and the Mystics were originally supposed to speak in fictional languages.
Bing bong boing, bing bong boing, bing bong, bing bong boing.
Kind of like the Podlings. Henson believed audiences wouldn't mind reading subtitles, but after some early test screenings, this turned out not to be the case. New dialogue was written and recorded to make the movie more accessible, but certain concessions had to be made to sync the dialogue with the existing footage. That being said, despite a handful of complaints, The Dark Crystal is a stunning artistic accomplishment. Personally, I'm not watching this movie for the story. I'm not watching it for the dialogue. Neither are truly terrible, just occasionally dull or awkward. No, I'm watching this movie for the stunning visuals and the showcase of incredibly impressive puppetry and animatronics. To be honest, watching this movie actually makes me mad. It makes me mad because it's a shocking reminder of what we used to have. I'm not just referring to Henson. As a kid, I loved watching The Muppet Show and Fraggle Rock and absolutely anything and everything with Jim Henson's name on it. His death left a hole in the entertainment industry that was never filled. But no, I'm not just referring to his absence. To me, this movie is a perfect representation of the kind of creativity that used to come out of the movie industry. We had risk takers, boundary pushers, creators who bet everything on a wild vision that they believed in.
I am impervious to your cynicism.
We still have a bit of that. I'm not saying that mentality is completely absent from modern media, but it is in short supply. Networks and streaming services and movie studios are more often than not unwilling to support risky projects. Cowards! When I was a kid, The Dark Crystal was a terrifying experience. I was used to The Muppet Show and Sesame Street. And then Henson dropped this, and this,
You're very lucky, slave,
and this, Dear God, was it traumatic for a younger me. But that was also the point. Henson wanted to create something inspired by the fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. He thought scaring kids was perfectly okay. And as an adult, I tend to agree. Yes, films like this can be frightening for kids, but why is that wrong?
I wish I knew.
I watched it, and I'm a perfectly well-adjusted individual. Looking back on this movie after 40 years, I'm not as affected by the tone or the atmosphere or the uncanny characters. I see the craftsmanship and the love that went into making this. I see a meticulously constructed world full of life and charm. But I also see this. Make it stop.
Well, love.
The Dark Crystal is a special movie. Creepy? Yes. Imperfect? Sure. But it's magical and awe-inspiring for anyone who appreciates the art of film. Jim Henson and Frank Oz created something unique and memorable, something that any aspiring filmmaker should look upon with reverence. It's a gem for fans of high fantasy and world building and costume design. It's a notable milestone for puppetry and animatronics, and I highly recommend checking it out, because The Dark Crystal is a magical movie. Oh God, I can taste it!
I have a good mind to go home.
You had a good mind, you wouldn't be here in the first place.